this place, and I know that it's the Spirit of the Lord. There are sweet expressions on each face, and I know they feel the presence of the Lord. Sweet Holy Spirit, sweet heavenly dove, oh, stay right here with us, filling with His love. And for these blessings, we fill our hearts with praise. Without a doubt, we know that we have been revived when we leave this place. There's a blessing you cannot receive till you know Him in His full and believe. You're the one to profit when you say, I am going to walk with Jesus all the way. Oh, sweet Holy Spirit, sweet heavenly dove, stay right here with us, filling us with your love. And for these blessings, we lift our hearts in praise. Without a doubt, we know that we have been revived when we believe.
Whoa. Thank you all for being here. I'm Nanette Macy-Junes, the director of the museum. It is a great honor to hold this event, and I wanted to thank you all for being here on behalf of all the many people who are sponsoring this event. And on the back of your program are all of our other wonderful other hosts that I wanted to bring to your attention. I have known for a long time that this day would come, that we would gather in this auditorium, and that Aminah would no longer be with us. I have to say, after 2 months I'm still grappling with the new reality, because she was such a presence in our community. She is such a presence in our community. What she has left us is an extraordinary body of work that will continue to make its way into the world. Many people today, and we have 17 speakers, I think, so we're all going to stick to 2 or 3 minutes, because otherwise we'll all be here till midnight. Many people today will share personal memories of Aminah. I have personal memories, but I wanted to have us all focus for a minute on that body of work, on the works of art she created. Whenever I talked to Aminah, she talked to me, whenever I was saying something to her, she would always come back to the work. Her refrain to me was always, it's about the work, it's about the community. And I always thought, well, it's indivisible for me. It is Aminah, the work, and the community. But she knew, as all artists do, that there will come a time when she is not here to shepherd her own work. And so, as all great works of art do, these works of art will move beyond all of us in this auditorium who loved and knew Aminah, who knew her as a person and knew her as an artist. They have special meaning to us because we knew her. But the incredible thing about important works of art is they move through time. They move forward in time. They find new audiences who will discover them. New eyes will see them afresh for the first time. They will be understood and loved in different new ways than all of us love and understand them. This museum is incredibly fortunate to have had a long, rich, shared history with Aminah Robinson. It stretches back to when Aminah was no more than a teenager in our community. She changed us. We are a better, richer, just in every way a better museum because we have that shared history. We are very honored to become a major, and have been for a long time, and will become even a greater repository for her work. This museum's name is synonymous with very few artists: George Bellows, Alice Shilley, Elijah Pierce, and Aminah Robinson. We are honored to help to continue to shepherd and share her work and her legacy with both our community and the many communities around this world. So I am so glad to see you all here in this auditorium. Now, it's my great honor to introduce Mayor Coleman. And in the middle of I'm going to have each person just come. You can read along on the thing. And in the middle of it, Wayne Lawson, who was head of Ohio Arts Council, who did many, many international projects with Aminah Robinson. He couldn't be here, so we have a brief video right in the middle. But it'll mostly be live people. And we start with our beloved mayor. Mayor Coleman.
You know, everyone knows Aminah as one of the greatest American artists, all of our nation. Incredible work, a genius she was. She was inspiring, she was beautiful in her heart, in her soul, and she displayed it not just in her work, but in her way she lived as well. I know Aminah as an historian. I know her as a catalyst for change. I know her as someone who had a deep personal relationship with the city of Columbus and a deep personal relationship of the Near East Side, a deep personal relationship of Black people in the city of Columbus. Her depictions of folks she grew up with, folks she knew, will live forever because she remembers. She was that historian. And I always say that you don't know where you're going until you first understand where you come from. Well, because of Aminah Robinson, we now know where we are going because she made sure we know where we came from. And that's a big deal. You know, I think of the Lincoln Theater. A lot of people over the years will take some pride and some credit for its revitalization and its renovation. But I put the credit and the pride and the cause of its renovation, this now glorious theater, at the feet of Aminah Robinson. Because as that building was about to collapse, very soon before the wrecking ball came and was about to tear it down, somehow Aminah made sure I had one of her original paintings on loan in my office. Of the Lincoln Theater. And Black folks in front of it, African Americans, who could not go to the Ohio Theater, could not go to the Palace Theater, in fact, couldn't go downtown. This was the only place we had to go to be entertained in an environment like that. Aminah Robinson is the reason why the Lincoln Theater is the Lincoln Theater of today. I wish I could have that painting back. Whoever has it. And, you know, in life, you always something happens in your life where you say, I wish I only had done this, done something. Well, I had that a moment with Aminah Robinson. And it was on April of this year at the Women of Achievement. Some of you were there. She was recognized once again, well-deserved. And afterward, I asked her, and she told me about this work she was doing on my administration during my years in office. And she had been working on it for 16 years. And I said, I would love to see it. And she pulled out a piece of paper and wrote her telephone number down. And she said, don't tell anybody I'm giving you this number, but call me and come see it. For every day, I put that number on my desk. Every day, I looked at it, and I said, I got to call Aminah Robinson and go see this. I never called. I wish I had. I wish I had. So here we are today, all celebrating this great woman. She was a catalyst for change. She was an historian, an artist, but most of all, a great, wonderful human being. Thank you.
I'm not Kojo. Thinking about Mayor Coleman, what he has just said, my parents had their wedding reception at the Lincoln Theater, and one other theater that we were allowed to go to, or my parents were, my dad said that they could always go to the Southern to see movies. So that was one place downtown you could go to the Southern. First of all, I want to thank some of the people that helped Aminah along in her transition. The Ohio Ross Heart Hospital, Dr. Binkley's team, and especially Dr. Eisinger. The social worker, Carol. NOSU Wexner Hospice, Zuzman Hospital, and the employees that worked with her in hospice that helped her in her transition. Aminah slipped away. She just closed her eyes and went to sleep. And I just wanted to add that. And other people that I would like to thank, Laura Savage, for all of her work that she did taking care of Aminah's dog baby. Marlena, who I depended on a lot. She was a rock, and Aminah just loved her dearly. And Alan Acker, that helped me with some of my decision making. I'll always be grateful for these three people. Now, Aminah and I were probably connected since birth. We'd known each other for 70 years. I knew her grandma Zimmerman, her mother, her father, her sisters. I did not know Uncle Alvin. Her sister Sue passed away in 2007. Sharon in 2012. And other than that, there's not much more that I could say. Is that we lived in Poindexter Village at the onset, and that it was just the most wonderful place that you could ever live. It was a place ahead of its time. There hasn't been anything else like it. It was a community where you were forced to be connected with each other. It was dedicated on Columbus Day in 1940, and President Roosevelt drove down Champion Avenue past Union Grove Baptist Church. Mr. Poindexter was the pastor of, it was Reverend Poindexter was the pastor of Second Avenue Church. He was the first black city councilman in Columbus in 1880, and he was a member of the Board of Education from 1884 to 1893. We grew up, Aminah and I, in Poindexter Village during World War II, and we were there during the Korean War. I can't remember a time when I didn't know Aminah, and we did spend a lot of time together, mostly supporting each other during good times and bad, and that I'm hoping that there will be something to let us know that she was here. As I've said many times, the black community does not have anything to let us know that we ever existed. We have a statue of Elijah Pierce on Long Street in front of a parking garage. So what's going to be left of Poindexter Village, which has been torn down, and what's going to be left of Aminah's work and some of the things that she has to let us know that she was here. There'll never be another Aminah Robinson. Just people do not realize how she worked tirelessly, how she was there was just something in her brain that just kept her going 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you would have to see how she lived and how she worked to really understand what she has left that will last long after we're gone. So we have to have something to let us, other than her art, to remind us that she was here. We can find money for everything else. Why can't we have something to maybe, keep her home intact or something? They're giving grants every day, millions of dollars. We need something for Aminah. I didn't mean to make a speech, but just had to say that.
I am Kojo. And on my way to the auditorium, I stopped by the drop-by studio, and it was great to see so many people in there creating work inspired by Aminah. Aminah has been inspiring people to be involved and to create work for a long time. I remember as far back as Mount Vernon Avenue Elementary School, Franklin Junior High School, East High School, class of June 1957. She was inspiring us. In those classes, Aminah was always creating artwork. And we were in many classes together. But no matter what class we were in, Aminah's work was always more creative than all the other students in the class. And we knew she was an artist, or she was going to be an artist. The art teacher knew she was an artist. Let's fast forward to 1978. And my late wife and I were traveling to Africa. And on the way home, on the plane, we were reminiscing about the trip. And I remember saying, any artist who wants to travel to Africa should be able to travel to Africa. And I said, Aminah, Brenda needs to go to Africa. So when we got home, we contacted Aminah. I showed her some of the photographs that I'd taken. And of course, I did not have to convince her that she should go. She was ready to go to Africa. We called a group of people together and told them what we would like to do. And with that group, we sent Aminah to Africa in 1979. The following year, she exhibited her new work that she had been inspired on our African trip. She exhibited throughout the community. Because of the experience that we gained in raising funds and writing proposals to send Aminah to Africa, we were inspired to start a nonprofit organization called ACE, Art for Community Expression. And during the early days, we also sent to Africa Charles Dillard and Larry Winston Collins. 30-some years later, Larry Winston Collins and I were selected to create the artwork on the Long Street Cultural Wall. Aminah inspired us to do all this. Thank you.
I'm Merlana Hammond Keynes, Hammond Harkins Galleries. When we were planning Aminah's 75th birthday and celebration and exhibition, she invited us to come to her home to select the work. It was an unforgettable day. Every room, every nook and corner was filled with incredible art. Past, present, and future stories. And we were so energized and so overwhelmed that day that our exhibition began to take form. And we called it Aminah at 75. The story continues. I think the core of Aminah's genius was her ability to see her world and the history of her world, which with such clear understanding and vision. In future decades, I'm certain scholars and researchers alike will find new meanings, new expressions in her work. Nanette said it best.